The Clemson Tigers are always on the prowl for more recruits. A 2025 defensive lineman in the Palmetto State has put Clemson in his top schools. We're going to discuss them next on the Locked On Clemson podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers. Wait.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You already know what time it is. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network, as well as the part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. And guys, thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday, whenever I drop these episodes. Appreciate all the love and support that you guys show me for being my family, my Clemson Tiger family, as well as my every single day here. So I appreciate y'all. We have a fun show up on tap for us today. We are tapping in and we're going to be talking about the ACC's top 5 NFL draft prospects, right? This is, again, I've been doing these rankings I've done. They have been based on, my girl Candace Cooper and the crew over at Locked On ACC. Go check them out. Talk about losing another 4-star offensive lineman. Casey Poe made his announcement. He's going to Alabama. I'm going to give you my reaction to that. But looking at the 2025 class, we have a defensive line prospect that has his eyes on Clemson. He put Clemson inside his top 7 schools. So we're on the prowl off the jump, guys. We're getting into it, man. And Amari Adams, 4-star 2025 defensive line, defensive tackle recruit, has put Clemson inside his top 7 schools. This is a big boy, man. Looking at his size, he's listed at 6'3", 275 from Florence, South Carolina, South Florence High School, 4-star for ESPN, Rivals, and 24/7 Sports. This is a young man that, he is right now deemed the top recruit for the 2025 class out of the state of South Carolina from the Palmetto State. And, he recently went on his visit with Clemson. And he, like I said, he dropped his top 7, and the schools are in his top 7: Bama, Clemson, Georgia, LSU, South Carolina, Florida State, and Tennessee. So there's a couple schools in here that like Tennessee's been a thorn in our side in recruiting for the 2024 class. Bama, just showing up a little bit and gotten in the way. And of course, Florida State is in the same conference in the ACC. But, this is a young man, and, about to read his quote. He went back. He came in and got his offer back in June. And he came away impressed with the Tigers, defensive tackle coach Nick Eason, after a Dabo Swinney camp workout and everything. And per his quote, I feel like he saw it all from being a player to the coach, because of the way he went to the league for both of them. Adam said he saw how you got to be how you got to be in the NFL. So he's going to push you to be great. And that's what I like about Coach Eason. So a lot of times with these recruits and stuff like that, that's a big part of it, right? Like you typically have to, you have to find that connection, right? Like in recruiting, it's not just about, okay, yes, they got to like the school and the head coach and stuff, but a lot of times it's positional coaches too. If they can get that positional coach and really rock with that positional coach and create a bond and chemistry and a relationship with that coach where, he's like, all right, I trust this man to help develop me and get me to the NFL. Because I think that's a big part of this whole process, guys, is no matter what happens, a lot of these kids understand the assignment. I want to go to the league. I want to go play with the big boys play. I want to go play professional football. And they want to go somewhere that's going to give them the best opportunity to do that a lot of times. Now, again, like I talked about in the last episode, with Fletcher Westphal going to Florida and, talking about NIL playing the part and stuff like that. Which shout out to all you guys. I didn't get a chance to get to you guys. I've been so busy to get you guys in the comments and heart and respond to y'all. But appreciate y'all giving me the heads up on one.com in terms of their recruiting their NIL valuations. So I appreciate you guys tapping in and giving me that information. Some of the people that I'm close to really, they spoke well of them in terms of that regard and said that the numbers are trustworthy. But I continue to do my research and get on top of that. So I appreciate y'all for sure for giving me that correction. But again, when you deal with recruiting, like, yes, NIL nowadays is going to play an absolute part. But at the same time, you have to create relationships, right? Like I said, on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, my guy Keith Sanchez was part of the coaching staff and helped recruit the kids to LSU. You think about the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons, the Joe Burrows, the Clyde Edwards-Hilairs, all those Derek Stingley, all those guys. He had a hand in that. And we always talk about recruiting, and he talks about the fact that you got to build relationships where these kids trust you, and they trust their future in your hands. So for Amari Adams to have that connection, or seem to have that connection somewhat, with defensive tackle coach Nick Eason, that's a big deal. Because that's the type of connection that can sway a recruit to where, hey, maybe I get $100,000 less NIL going to Clemson, but Coach Nick Eason is going to make sure I'm a legitimate NFL prospect, right? And when you think defensive tackles coach, Tyler Davis, Rook, right? All of the number of guys that they have on this defensive line is going to play NFL football in the next couple years, right? Rook and Tyler Davis next year will be rookies. 2024 NFL, 2024 NFL season, they'll be rookies, right? And we got other younger players as well who are really talented. So that's the point. I think that's a really big thing. And like I said, I watched him. I had to go back and look at his measurements because it says 6'3", 275. And I'm sitting there, and I think it's just the players that he's playing against. He looks way bigger than the rest of those guys. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You telling me he's 275? Are you sure he's not 300? And, and it's like, it is what it is, right? And that happens. And that happens quite a bit. Like, you just kind of, you see guys play certain level of competition, and it's like, man, like, he towers over these guys. So it's just like watching him. And, when I'm watching his tape, like, he moves around on the defensive line. He'll play some 4-eye. He'll play some 5 tech on as a defensive end. They'll put him in at the 0 tech and 1 tech as a nose tackle. Defensive tackle right there up on the center. And you see a guy that can 2-gap. He can hold up at the point of attack in the run game. And I think that's where his bread's going to be buttered, really, is being able to keep the linebackers clean once he is on a college team and playing college football. He's a big guy, big kid that I'm telling you right now, I would not be shocked if he gets to 300, 305, 310 probably. Because he looks like he can carry it, and especially if he gains another inch or two, gets up to 6'4", 6'5", be 315, and then like, because at the same time, like, defensive tackles are actually do so many different things, right? Some are actually to be vertical attackers, right? Being an attack style defense where you're getting upfield and you're getting upfield quickly in the face of the quarterback. Other times, hey, like Georgia, they tell you maintain and clog gaps, clog lanes, man, and keep your linebackers clean so that we can allow them to flow to the ball and make plays. And, I always talk about that stuff, guys, like, for defensive tackles and the importance of them to the linebackers is keeping those offensive linemen occupied so the linebackers can be athletes and make plays, from the second level all the way down to behind the line of scrimmage. But I think with Amari Adams, being, like I said, 6'3", 275, I can absolutely see him getting up to 300, being a big physical kid. He does show a quick swim move in the pass as a pass rusher. So you can see some things with him. This is there's a lot of competition being in that top 7 along with Clemson. There's a lot of competition for this young man's talents, but hopefully Clemson can close the deal and get him in. But guys, we're talking about closing the deal. Some things, some deals weren't closed with these offensive line recruits, and it's not been easy whatsoever. So we're gonna get into that coming up next, guys. We're on the prowl continues. Casey Poe made his announcement yesterday, I think last night, somewhere in there. and he's not coming to Clemson. We're going to talk about that next on the Locked On Clemson podcast. Take your first swing at betting on Major League Baseball with FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets back up to $200. That's right, guys. That's just $20 that you need to bet, and you'll land $200 in bonus bets back, and it doesn't matter if you win or you lose. That's $200 that you can spend betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All of this on the app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. You know my slogan, no stress, no mess. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly, right away, and that's what we really like. We want to get our money and get our money now. So, guys, understand this. There's no better place to bet on all the Major League Baseball action than FanDuel, which is America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 back in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel is the official partner of Major League Baseball. We're still on the prowl, guys. We are still on the prowl, and another sad rendition of I'm trying to get that word right, of On the Prowl, where we lost another 4-star talented offensive lineman. This time, that's 3 in a row. We are, right? Like, lost 3 straight. Goodness, is this the NBA Finals? What's going on here, right? You feel like the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics losing 3 straight. William Satterwhite. I don't keep saying his last name wrong. So William Satterwhite, Fletcher Westphal, and now Casey Poe. Casey Poe, announced that he is going to be joining the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that's just, again, it's a big loss. Like, it's a big loss because at the end of the day, guys, we have to be honest about this thing. Only one 2024 recruit, only one 2024 offensive line recruit. This young man had offers from us, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Auburn, Georgia, and the wild part is, because I think he's from Lindale, Texas, so he's closer to Oklahoma in Texas Tech, but he could, drive going all the way to Alabama. But this is just the thing: a consensus 4-star, 1.com, 24/7 Sports, ESPN, Rivals all have him as a 4-star recruit. And when you look at what he would have brought to this team, a sudden and physical, dominant offensive lineman, man. He's on the track and field team in terms of a shot put, and discus thrower. He's flexible. He's powerful. He has all those things. And again, it's just the fact that we got to close the deal on some of these offensive linemen, man. It's where do you go now? And I think that's where it's really frustrating. But we're still holding out hope. Again, he's not a consensus 4-star, but getting Jamison Riggs will kind of cushion the blow a little bit. That 6'4.5", 300-pound, 3-star, interior offensive lineman that will, that would help. It would help this class in terms of the offensive line situation. When you think about adding him with Ronan O'Connor, who's an offensive tackle, who's projected to kick down inside as a guard, interior offensive lineman, and that will give you at least 2 recruits. But they got to find a way, to seal a deal on these kids in the trenches, because it don't matter who's at quarterback. You can have Trevor Lawrence, you can have Cade Cunningham, you can have Deshaun Watson, you can have Tua Tagovailoa, you can have whoever. But if you can't protect, if you can't build a fortress, you can't build a security team up front to protect your quarterback, man, it makes life just that much harder. So, I mean, hopefully, like I said, I'm still holding out hope. I'm not, down the dumps or anything. It's just you hate to see it with 3 straight offensive linemen. The offensive tackle with Westfall, interior offensive lineman with Satterwhite, and another interior offensive lineman with Casey Poe. But again, waiting to hear from Jamison Riggs. I was looking. I didn't see where he would have gone, or where he would have put on social media when he's committing his target day. I didn't see anything on it, but not, again, it's just the guy. I'll look it's been what? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's been 6 to six offensive linemen that they have given offers to for the 2024 class. Casey Poe being the highest on some of these boards, and we've only gotten one, and we're waiting to hear from Riggs, and the vibe is that we're warm, right? But there's a couple teams that are warm on the trail as well, right? Michael Winnie went to Georgia, offensive tackle, the 6'7", 335-pound kid. Casey Poe going to Alabama, Satterwhite going to Tennessee, Westfall going to Florida. So if we can get two out of the 5, 7, 6, 7, whatever, we can get two, right? We got O'Connell, like we can get Riggs, but losing Casey Poe, who was, I think, the top prospect at his specific position into your offensive line, top recruit, that hurts. That does hurt. And we just got, like I said, we have to hopefully, it gives us another, like the offensive line that we have now, that we can keep those guys for another year, right? And I think that's a big part of recruiting too. Because if you guys, if you think about it, right, where you see players, prospects, NFL draft prospects who are, okay, I'm a redshirt sophomore, I'm a true junior, I can go to the league, and then that coaching staff recruits them back. That's a part of recruiting too. Recruiting your own guys from the league that are having their eyes on the NFL, and instead of going there, they return to school, like Florida State did with Jared Verse, and Jordan Travis, right? So, and Johnny Wilson as well. So for Clemson, being able to, because the continuity on the offensive line is so important. So if they can do what they need to do in terms of, hey, let's get the guys we need immediately, right? Like, let's get the guys we need right away and take care of business. So if we can bring back our some veterans, right? Say we were able to get Riggs, so now we have O'Connell and Riggs coming in as two 2024 recruits. They have a plethora of knowledge in the offensive line room. And we got some young guys that I believe in as well, if need be, to step in. But bringing it and continue to add to this offensive line, I really think that we could be in a good spot. So all is not lost. All is not lost, guys. I know it sounds bad, 3 straight, but all is not lost. We still are going to be competitive, on the prowl in recruiting, right? So listen, you could be in the jungle, and if you missed out on that cabaret or whatever, if you're a tiger in the wild and you missed out on that meal that you were hunting down, there's always more. There's always more. So we're gonna stay on the prowl, guys. We're gonna stay on the prowl. But to be on the prowl, listen, and you talking about NFL draft prospects for the old line. That's a great segue to our final segment. Locked On ACC, ranked the top 5 ACC's NFL draft prospects. I'm going to show you guys the graphic, list them off, talk about it, and maybe I disagree a little bit about who's all on there and make a case for at least one other Clemson Tiger to make the list. But, guys, that's coming up next on the Locked On Clemson Podcast. Ranking the top 5 NFL draft prospects from the ACC. Shout out to Candace Cooper and the crew over at Locked On ACC. Love those guys and gals. Tap in with them if you like just to talk, like to ACC talk in general, right? Not just with me, but with them as well. Well, they ranked the top 5 NFL draft prospects from the ACC. I'm gonna pull up the graphic here to show you guys. So at number 1, come on, really? Are we going to dispute number 1? No, we're not. Drake May, quarterback from North Carolina. And number 2, Jared Verse, edge rusher from Florida State, arguably the top edge rusher for a lot of draft pundits and evaluators, even such as myself and my guy Keith Sanchez from Florida State. Jared Verse is the real deal. Number 3, our very own middle linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Number 4, a friend of the show. They got him listed as a linebacker, but he's a safety, Andrew Makuba. And number 5, Miami's Leonard Taylor. And I just watched Leonard Taylor, for our from of course my scouting gig, over with the Draft Network and with Locked On NFL Draft. And talented guy. Pass rusher, can be very disruptive, strong, quick, can get upfield in a hurry. So I understand why he's here. Now the question is defensive line, because they peek this now. He is the number 1 from this ranking. He will be the number 1 ACC interior defensive lineman in the conference. And I disagree. I think that is Rook. I think Rook Ororo is that guy, man. Rook is, I've talked about, I think Rook should be here at 5. Now, and this is not Clemson bias or anything, but I love Rook's game and his potential. But I really like Leonard Taylor's potential as well. I just think Rook is such a more powerful player, versus the run game, things of that nature. And there's a lot of upside for him. There's still upside for him as a pass rusher. I think Leonard Taylor may be the better pass rusher of the two. I think he might be a little bit quicker to shoot gaps and things right now. But I think Rook continuing to work on his hands and improve that, man. Yeah, okay. I think that there's a case for that. But there's also a case, I'm not going to lie to you, there's also a case for Barrett Carter, right? Barrett Carter is legitimately one of the top 3 linebackers in college football, especially for the NFL draft for the 2024 class. Right? He's not the middle linebacker that Jeremiah Trotter is. He's more of the weak side, outside linebacker, right? Running chase, running hit type of linebacker, speed and to make plays in space, but his coverage ability is absolutely fantastic. So when I'm sitting here, I'm like, I do believe that there's a case for both of those guys, and even Tyler Davis as well, another disruptive, defensive lineman and defensive tackle for your Clemson Tigers. I absolutely feel as if there's a chance for him there is a case for him. And I think I would just like to see Coach Goodwin use him and Rook more so in that 3-tech situation, and not so much as nose tackle, 1-tech, taking on double teams and all that type of stuff. It makes their job just a little bit harder, just a tad harder. And I don't want to do that to the guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's probably the big thing. Any other guy like from other schools that I think, like I said, I think, Drake May, legit. Jared Verse, absolutely. Oh, another guy I think that, because if you pay attention, there's no wide receivers. Johnny Wilson from Florida State, Keon Coleman from Florida State, right? And then I just realized there are no running backs, no Will Shipley, no Phil Maffa. Which Phil Maffa, what you talking about? He needs more touches to really garner the NFL draft buzz and love that his body type and frame would suggest. But Trey Benson at Florida State, right? Like, that's another kid. Another really talented running back, man. So that's all I'm saying is that this list is solid, and it's not a bad list at all. But there are cases for some other guys to be in here, especially if you want to defer. Because if you look at this, which is wild, there's only one offensive player on this list, and that is quarterback Drake May. Jared versus an edge. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a linebacker. Andrew Makuba, even though it says linebacker, he's a safety. That's just a typo. And Leonard Taylor is an interior defensive lineman. There's no other offensive player on this list, and I do believe that there should be. I think that Johnny Wilson and Trey Benson, Will Shipley, those guys have a case. They have a case, man. That's just me. That's just me. But I'm gonna give you guys a dark horse too, because again, I'm an NFL draft analyst. Brennan Armstrong over in North Carolina State. If he can get back to playing 2021 football for North Carolina State Wolfpack, I think he can make a case for himself to be a top 5 ACC prospect. Not top 5 prospect in all of college football, but top 5 ACC prospect. He can make a case. I don't think he's going to get there. But, like in court, you want to make a compelling argument. Even if you lose, you want to make the best compelling argument possible. So, like I said, the list is fine. Drake May, Jared Verse, Jeremiah Trotter, Andrew Makuba, Leonard Taylor. That is the Locked On ACC's top 5 NFL draft prospects from the ACC. Like I said, there's cases for some other Clemson Tigers as well as some other Florida State Seminoles. And Dwayne Carter, one other name, defensive lineman from Duke, talented young man, extremely talented. Really can make a lot of plays and get into the backfield and everything. So that's another one, man. And yeah, it's the ACC. I don't care what nobody tells you guys. The ACC has a ton of talent this year, and I gotta look at all the schedules, but I'm hoping that there's some games, some in-season games versus some SEC competition, because I think this is the year where the ACC could give the SEC a run. I think they can give the SEC a run. I think the quarterback play is really good in the ACC, and there's a lot of high-level NFL draft prospects on all levels of the defense and on in terms of the offensive positions as well. But guys, thank y'all for tapping in with me. Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it's available, especially for the audio side. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe, like, share, download, set the automatic downloads, and leave a 5-star review for your boy, man. I appreciate the love, man. You know, you guys show me so much support, and I appreciate y'all. Again, thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday. As much as I drop these episodes, we do 3 a week right now, as we're not completely in season. But man, once we're getting closer to fall camp and college football, and oh baby, 5 days a week. But as always, as I also tell you guys, you know, I have a Patreon that I'll have in the description on YouTube. It's called the Scouting Room. And I'm going to, there's a tier for Clemson All Access. There's going to be a Discord community. I want to build a big community where we can all talk as a family, not just from the podcast, guys. Yes, tap into that too, but we could talk all, you know, in the Discord community, have good conversations about recruiting, have conversations about what's going on with the coaching staff, with the players, NFL draft prospects from our team, as well as I'll have some fun stuff for you guys in season, breaking down tape, talking about players of the week, plays of the week, keys of the games, stuff like that, reasons we won, reasons we lost, get into all of that. So go tap the link and subscribe and support your boy, because I'm trying to bring you guys the best available content as I possibly can, man. And I love y'all. So listen, again, we will get into more on the prowl, more more recruiting and more some more rankings and things like that. Looking at the schedule and picking out some of the more pivotal games, like those pendulum games, like they call it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna call it, the pendulum games and things like that. So we're gonna talk about that on tomorrow, guys. But listen, in terms of Twitter, you know what you could do. Follow and follow me there, DP_NFL. Talk to me because I talk back. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Go Tigers.